Hello, if you're new here, welcome to my Patreon. In this video, we're going to do some GLTF baking and exporting to Second Life with these star earrings. Before we get started, I'd just like to thank everybody for supporting me. It helps me, have more time to do videos and keep you guys from getting stuck. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to jump over to the shading tab. Let's select my star and jump to the shading tab. And I've got one bake here in the UV map. And we're going to bake all the materials for this to do our GLTF stuff. So I have two materials on my object. I baked the regular stuff in YouTube, so if you haven't watched the YouTube, you probably need to because I've changed stuff around. I'm using multiple UV bakes to do this. We just need to bake a whole bunch of new textures. So the first one I'm going to do is a albedo texture. So we're going to kill this and create a new one. Turn off alpha and name it starfish albedo. And we can click OK here. And we're going to need it under our fine gold also because, like I said, I have two materials. So go ahead and copy these two and go to fine gold. We can delete these two and just Control V to paste the other two in. Okay, now that we have our nodes to bake to, we have to do a couple little setting changes to be able to actually bake this thing properly. So on our gold material, we need to turn the metallic all the way off because you can't bake metallic into a diffuse, otherwise it just turns the whole image black. That's a test one I was doing a bit ago. Go to our blue card paint, and our node over here also has a base color metallic. So whatever textures you guys decided to, I didn't want to change that. Whatever textures you guys decided to use, make sure you don't have a metallic on it because if you bake it, it's going to come out weird. So double check for metallics everywhere and make sure they're off. And if you need to go into one of these nodes, you can hit tab. And that's how I found it. I went over here and I seen this metallic was plugged in. So I followed that little line all the way back to the group input, and that's base coat metallic, which means over here there's a base coat metallic, and I just turned it all the way off. We also need to go to our render settings and go down here to where it says combined under bake, and we need to turn our direct light off and indirect off, and then we need to turn our bake type to diffuse, which is albedo. Now we can jump back in here just to double check into our materials. Make sure this is selected. Make sure this one's selected on both materials. Make sure your star is selected. Make sure you don't have anything turned on up here that'll be hiding your star. I even got the other side turned off. And we can go ahead and back up to our render tab. Back down to our bake tab. And just click bake. And a couple seconds later, this should change to what it was, and it did. You guys didn't see it, but it did. It baked it. So that's our bake. So we can go ahead and save that image. Whoops. Image, save as. And I'm going to make a new folder here and call it GLTF bakes and save it inside of there. Now we can go back to our materials tab. Go back to the top. And we're going to copy this guy and do a Shift D and just place it right here. And right click on it and copy it. And go to blue card paint and just copy it in there. And now we can make sure that one's selected and go back to the fine gold and make sure that one's selected. Before I copied it, I should change it, but this should change both of them. So I killed the X there. Click new, and we're going to bake our roughness next. So we'll call it starfish roughness. Click OK. Double check the other one. Make sure to see that one didn't change. So I'm just going to delete it. Actually, just hit X to delete it. Go back to our fine gold. Copy this guy. Go back to the blue paint. and paste it in there. Make sure it's selected. Make sure the other one's selected. Go back to our rendering tab. Scroll down to bake. Change our diffuse to roughness in our bake type. And just click bake. And that'll go ahead and bake out. And now that's our reference map, so we can save it also. So image, save as. It's starfish roughness, and it goes back into the same file, and save as. So two things I forgot to mention. One, this needs to be non-color. My bad. So change this to non-color. This one's fine as sRGB, but this one has to be non-color. And I also didn't change my my bake samples are 300. So if you're sitting at 1024 or 2048, don't do that. You can change it to 10 probably and it'll work, but I typically bake at 300, but you don't need that many samples. So check your max samples, make sure this is non-color, and bake it again. That's better. And now I'm going to save over that other one. Image, save. It actually did change. You guys see the color change when it baked? If not, you can back up and look at that. Save as. I'm just going to save it right over top of that one. See the color? Watch it change. Oh, I guess you couldn't. So just to keep things more orderly, I should have baked the ambient occlusion first. It doesn't really matter, but I am going to move this down and make a copy of it and put it there. And we're going to kill this one and name it Starfish Ambient OCC. And click OK. Make sure it's non-color. Copy it. Go to your materials. Oh, I lost my mouse. Go up to the top. Select the blue car paint. We're gonna move this one down. Paste that one in there. Make sure it's selected. Make sure the one on your pine gold selected. Go back to your rendering tab. Scroll up to the bake. Change the roughness to ambient occlusion. And the reason I did this is because the ORM map is the ambient occlusion map, the roughness map, and a metallic map. So I want to keep them in order. That way you don't have to think. It's ORM, ORM. And we're going to make sure that's selected. And I just want to double check again just to make sure I selected it on both textures. Okay, we're good. Now we can bake it. And there's our ambient occlusion map. We can save it. Image, save as. Save. Now the normal map and the metallic map, we actually have to do some stuff with the metallic map to bake it. So we're going to bake the normal map next. So go ahead and copy this guy. Well, both of them actually. Shift D. You don't necessarily need all these. You can just plug one in each of them. It's just easier to copy both at the same time. Kill this. And we're actually going to move it down some more because we need a space for our metallic when we bake it. Click New. Name it Starfish Normal. Click OK. Change it to non-color. Copy it. Go to our materials. Paste it in here. Make sure it's selected. Check the blue one. Make sure it's selected. Go back to our bakes. Rendering tab. Change ambient occlusion to normal. And bake it. And that's my normal. My normal map doesn't really have anything on it, so it's just blank. And we'll save that as Starfish Normal. Okay, let's get our last bake out of the way. So we need to select another normal map, doesn't matter which one. Shift D and copy it. And move it up into our spot. Metallic map. Did I say normal? we're going to be doing our metallic map. Kill this, click new, name it starfish metallic, and click OK. Copy it. Select your other material, paste it in there, move it over here. Now we need to fix our materials. So let's see here. This is not going to work for our metallic, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this and hit tab and find my principal BSDF, okay? And on our principal BSDF, we want to turn our emission to 1. Well, max, all right? So our emission's turned on. And then we want to select our gold and find our principal BSDF and do the same thing on this one, turn it up to 1. Because I don't have a metallic map, that's what you do. If you have a metallic map, I think you plug it into, I think you plug it right into that hole. I'll have to double check that. And then select our metallic material on that one, select our metallic material on this one, go to our bake tab, go down here, change our normal to emit. Select that and bake it. And that looks correct. So we can save that. Starfish metallic is good. And move on to the next thing. And that is getting this thing ready to export as a GLTF. First thing we need to do is make sure we have our GLTF node. So go up to Edit, Preferences, and in your add-ons, search for GLTF. Make sure this thing is turned on, and make sure Shader Editor Add-ons is turned on. Once you have that, you can close it, and if you hit Shift-A, search GLTF, you're probably not going to come out with this outcome. There's some kind of bug where you actually have to search it the other way. So my search is set on spacebar, so I'm going to hit spacebar, and if you go to edit, well, edit, not file, edit, preferences, navigation, or key mapping, you can change your search spacebar action to search, and that'll allow you to hit spacebar like I'm doing. So spacebar, and you want to search for node.gltf, and it's a node operator GLTF material output. You select that, and it'll create one somewhere. Find it, and now you have your node to connect up to. We're going to move this guy over here, and we're going to copy those and do a Shift D and move this over here. And when you're done with this, I would probably save a file, a startup file with this GLTF node activated. That way you don't have to go through that mess again, and in case you forget about it. Okay, we need one more map before we connect all this stuff up, and that is a normal map. So Shift A, search normal, and we need a normal map. And we'll just start at the bottom here with our normal map. So we need our color out of our normal into the color of our normal map, and out of the normal map into the normal of the principal BSDF. And then we're going to go back up to the top here. Our ambient occlusion, or not ambient occlusion, our albedo gets plugged into the color of the principal BSDF. Our ambient occlusion map gets plugged into the occlusion of the GLTF node, so we'll plug that in up here. Then our roughness gets plugged into the roughness of our principal BSDF. And the metallic gets plugged into the metallic. We also need to change our emission from white to black. So make sure you change the emission on this one to white to black. When you're done with that, we can go ahead and copy all of this stuff. Right click, copy, go to our other material, and we're just going to delete these. And then control paste those all into here. And select your material node here and your material node here. So just to iterate again, you plug your maps in where you go. So this is your ORM. So your occlusion, roughness, and metallic. That's your ORM. And then you've got your normal and your albedo. So the albedo gets plugged into base color. Normal gets plugged into normal. And your ORM map, your ambient occlusion goes into the ambient occlusion of the GLTF. Roughness into roughness, and metallic into metallic. And make sure your emission is black. Rain has been doing one material, so this would be all you have, and you'd only have one of these over here. But we're doing two materials because I wanted to try it, get it out of the way, and see if I could do it and see if it worked. So all I do is copy all this stuff when I'm done with it, and then paste it to the other materials if you have multiples. And then just make sure the material output on each one of them is selected, because it uses the material output that you have selected. So if you have this material output selected, it ain't gonna work. So you have to have this one selected. Did you see how the star changed colors when I did that? So yeah, now we can export our materials. So we can go File, Export, GLTF, and I'm going to go to my GLTF base, and I'm actually going to, can I delete that? I'm going to delete that one, and I'll just export a new one. But before you export it, you need to go over some settings. So operator presets is fine. You want to check remember export. If you was in Rain's class, there should be a whole diagram for all this, but I'm not going to show her diagram because she don't like that. You want to have selected objects checked and include. Data transforms or transforms Y up is fine. Under data and material, you can leave that alone. Under mesh, you want to make sure UVs is checked. This stuff default is fine. And then make sure shape keys, skinning, and compression and animation are turned off. And other than that, that should be good. And then we'll just export that with the name it has there is fine. Then we need to export our model. So I'm going to jump to layout. And I'm going to select both models and do a file, export, collada. I'm going to go under my bakes again. I'm going to delete this one just because I want to let you guys see everything. Operator presets static, selection only, and you can uncheck copy down here. And then starfish earring DAE is fine. We can export that. And we need physics models. If you followed my other video, you should have physics models, so I'm just going to make a couple. So mesh, you can use cube or plane. I don't think I'm going to use cube this time. I used plane last time. So make a cube, copy it, select both of them, file, export, collada. If you put underscore capital PHYS right here, that should make it apply as soon as you upload. So we're gonna selection only is fine. The preset should be good because it's already we exported once, so they're the same. Export that and jump into Second Life. I'm just below Rain's build thing because I like being down on the ground. And there's my test upload of the earrings, but we're gonna ignore those. So build, upload, mesh model, and we want to do starfish earrings. And see, because we named it, the physics models just came in with it. I'm going to turn this to 0 because I always do. Physics, see, it automatically added it for us. And we can calculate weights and fees. 1 land impact, 12 upload fee. Looks good. Upload. Boop, boop. And I'm going to drag these out and put them on top of this guy's box so I can find them. Because they're teeny tiny. And we'll zoom into those. They come in black. Don't know why they're coming in black, but I don't care. Um, I'm just going to drop the textures on them anyhow. So now we can go to build, upload, material, and choose this, and it's going to pop up this material selection. If you hit the drop down, you can choose bulk upload all, so I'll get both of them. So upload, and click OK, and it will upload them. And there they are. Um, Ignore the bottom two. The bottom two is my test, so the top two are the ones that just brought in. And we can drag this guy out and drop him on there. Drag the gold out and drop it on the gold. And the same with the other side. Drag the blue out and drop it. Drag the gold out and drop it. And there you go. Two beautiful earrings. And then you can scale them up if you want. Edit. Stretch. Just so you guys can get a better look at them. And the back reflects all pretty, and they turn out very nice. And they come in as a link set, so you can edit them and unlink them. Edit link, select one, unlink it. And then they should be two separate. Yep, so now I can delete that one. Don't need two of them. And you got your one earring there. Alright guys, that is it for this video. Everybody make sure you go to the Blender School in Second Life and give Rain a little tip for teaching me how to do half of this. And I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoyed this Patreon only content.